friend of the show.
Yeah, you know what you're doing. Matt Anthony, welcome to the show. Welcome back. How's the summer treating you?
It's good, man. It's a grind always. Never stop. Like you said, no rest for the wicked, but definitely took a few days to enjoy myself. And,
what did you do on your few days? Oh, you went golfing, you said?
Yeah, I'm actually playing a little more golf than I have been the last couple summers. Went down to Louisville, Kentucky.
What were you doing down there?
So the McEachern family, the owners of Newbridge, so Carolyn's mom lives in Louisville. So Damon and Cody and I went down for a week and basically just chilled out by the pool. And, we went to a couple minor league baseball games, soccer games, went to the Louisville Bat Museum.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat to see the bats being made and the machines and stuff. It was pretty cool.
That part of the world must be different from here, eh?
Very, but I wasn't, it was a little more... It wasn't as south as I thought it would be, Like I walked in the first day we're there. We're downtown for the baseball game, and there's a big Pride Parade on and stuff. And I was like, I would never have expected that in Kentucky.
I'm trying to think where it is on a map. Kentucky. What's it close to?
It's right underneath Ohio, so it's kind of like the beginning of the South. It's the north of the South.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of history lessons too while I was down there, but no, we had a good time. Met some good people. Got a backstage kind of back look at Churchill Downs.
What's Churchill Downs?
That's where they run the Kentucky Derby. So it's incredible. Like we got to see Justify, who just won the Triple Crown. It was a pretty good trip. So
that's sick, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I never thought that I'd be going to Louisville, Kentucky for a little vacation, but
perks of the job.
Yeah.
It feels like you felt the Southern hospitality when you got down there.
Big time. And the Southern draws were awesome. I wish I had a Southern draw. I kind of like the way they speak and stuff. But actually, Trevor and Carolyn are down there now visiting as well. Oh yeah. So yeah,
we were talking to Brennan Saunier the other day, and he played in Alabama.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the Southern hospitality, the food they give you, the way they treat you, the way they dress. Just everything's completely different, but it's a little taste of home with the way they treat you.
Absolutely.
Just politeness and just what can I do for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hear good things about it. One day the high button will get down there. Yeah. We'll see. So yeah, I'm happy that you came back. A lot has happened since you've been here last. When were we? 2 months ago?
At least. It was a while ago.
A lot has happened. Not even
man.
just
You're blowing up. You're blowing up.
Well, yeah, I don't know about us, but you know what I mean. Just like hockey players, the draft, free agency in the NHL, money's being exchanged in hands. A lot of contracts have been given out. I don't know what piques your interest in the world of hockey. We don't have to start with Nova Scotia because I know we can talk about that for a bit, but just anything in particular. I guess what's been on your mind?
Yeah, I guess definitely everybody is interested in the free agent frenzy and that kind of thing. And I don't get too much growing up. I never had a favorite team.
No,
never really rooted for anybody. Just fan of the game. My dad was the same way. We just wanted to see good hockey and watch good hockey and appreciate no matter who it was. I don't care if it's the Habs, the Leafs, Bruins, whatever. And
I feel the same.
And definitely was glued to the TV on Canada Day a little bit to see what happened with Johnny T. But I think there was a few sneaky deals there. Like Matt Cullen going back to the Pens, I think is going to be a difference maker for them. Anthony Duclair actually signed in Columbus.
Did he?
So I don't know exactly what happened because I know he's not old enough to be a UFA, but something must have happened. He must have been bought out or something, cap geek stuff. He signed like a 1 year, $650,000 deal with Columbus. And I think
one way or two way?
One way.
Oh yeah.
One way. And I think that's gonna I think he gets under torts and just fly. Like he'll be a 50, 60 point. I think.
What was he this year? Well, he was up and down from teams.
Yeah, he struggled ever since he's been in the league. But I mean, the times I've seen him play, I saw him play in midget and junior, and he's especially when the Canada Games were here in 2011.
Yes,
he might have been better than Drouin on that team, on Team Quebec. And if you're in the same conversation as a guy like Johnny Drouin, then the talent's there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of he hasn't found the spot to bring it out yet.
It's funny how once you make that NHL jump, you see the difference between a junior guy to a pro guy. Yeah. Drouin had that struggle in Tampa for a bit. He couldn't make that jump right away. And it's such a humbling experience for these players, I bet, just coming from junior, being a young stud, and then going to the NHL and being that maybe third, fourth line guy and not being able to make that jump. Well, Duclair's been going through that for how many years has he been in the show?
It's 4 or 5, I think.
He was with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Then Arizona.
Yeah.
Then Chicago.
Yeah.
And now.
Yeah. Columbus. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing that when we were talking to who did we have on the other day? Highmore.
Yeah.
We were just saying how young the NHL is and how. And this kind of comes back to what we were saying about these young guys coming up in Nova Scotia, like 13, 14 years old, having to be mentally prepared to not make these big AAA teams. I bet these NHL guys have to do the exact same thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, that must be an ego shock, right? To not ego shock, but a humbling experience for, who are we just talking about? Duclair.
Yeah.
You know, not having a real home in the NHL right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, there's so many good players, and everybody's so prepared now. I mean, you see it at, like you said, like you've had guys on here talking about Major Bantam. Like, it starts that young.
Yeah.
And guys are so prepared when they get to the show when they're 21, 22, 23 years old to step in and contribute and do the same thing that a 30, 31-year-old guy with 6 or 7 years experience for, you know, a sliver of the cost on the entry-level deals, right? So, especially in a salary cap world, like, you don't see it happen as much in baseball. Like, the old guys still get all the at-bats and stuff in baseball, and guys have to pay their dues in the minors. Yeah. And not like guys don't pay their dues for sure, but like, that's what I find. Like, that's how GMs and like all this, however many guys they have on staff for like figuring out the salary caps and figuring out the contracts, and like, it just makes sense. Like, you know, Toronto is obviously going to have some issues locking up, you know, the big four, the big five. You know, I include Riley in that five as one of the key cogs.
He's not locked down yet?
No, I just mean he is, but like, I'm pretty sure he's still on his entry deal or like his gap deal. But like, you know, they got Johnny and obviously Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Riley.
Has Anderson signed?
Yeah, he signed. I think he signed for 3 years. Yeah. I think
he's a piece of the team.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But how are they going to be able to afford those guys? How does Pittsburgh do it every year? Pittsburgh does it by signing guys fresh out of college and having them step right in and play because they can play at that level as 24-year-olds, 23 for 24-year-olds make a minimum. Yeah. And, you know, as long as they don't get scored on, they're going to win games because they've got Crosby and Malkin down the middle. Right? Like, your job is not to, you just don't get scored on. You play even, we win the game.
I wonder if Crosby and Malkin have had to like almost adjust their personalities on the ice playing with younger players. Picture yourself, you're Crosby, the best player in the world, and you get this 21-year-old college kid coming up on your wing. You're not telling me that if he's not passing to you on a 2-on-1 or an option where you can score, you're not pissed off of it. But I bet coaches and scouting staff or whatever have talked to Sid and be like, listen, Sid, give them 15 games. Give them 10 games just to kind of, because imagine if you're not Crosby and Crosby's kind of yelling at you right now. Come on, man, what are you doing? Like, that's hurt you. That is hurting you.
100%. And I think the other way you could look at that too is sometimes guys probably come up there, and I don't know, but I'm guessing sometimes guys come up and try to force feed it to Crosby too much.
Definitely.
And make the wrong plays because they're trying to get it to him, and he's probably like, yo, man, like, you don't got to give it to me. Like, yeah, I want the puck, but don't turn it over. You know, go to him, and then he'll give it to me on the other side, rather than trying to force it all the time. It'd be really hard to play with Sid, though. It'd be tough.
There'd be two aspects you have to deal with: the mental side of it and the actual playing side of it. One, you can't be nervous, you can't be hesitant, you can't make mistakes, and then the other side, you actually have to skate with him. You have to actually keep up with him.
Yeah.
Like, when he's going through the neutral zone, 2 strides, he's blue line to blue line.
It's crazy.
You just have to find open ice and pray to God he finds you. Because that's another thing that Crosby's good at, is finding people. So I guess if you're in the right place in the right time, which I'm sure he communicates with the iPads on the bench now. Yeah. Like, I bet he's good with that because he's a teacher at the end of the day.
Yeah, he always has been. He's always had to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, ever since he was born. He's the best player on his team, playing with all older guys. And literally every year he's ever played hockey, he's been the best player on his team, the best player in the world. And
I wonder, how do you feel about that when it comes to like coaching? Like, Gretzky wasn't the best coach. Do you think Crosby could be a good coach, or do you think he just thinks the game at a higher level than everyone else?
You know, I don't know Sid on a personal level, but he maybe has a little different personality than, like, I know him enough to know that he has a little different personality than a guy like Gretz.
Yeah.
I think he could be a coach. Will he? I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't know. Like, he could. I believe. Like, you see him in action with his hockey camps. He interacts well with kids. He interacts well with everybody. I see him around, East Hanson. He's at the big stop. He's at the golf course. He's at the, the grocery store, whatever it is, and he handles everything like a true pro, right? Like that's.
Well, if he doesn't go into coaching, maybe he should go into like media training or something, or just like how to. Like he's incredible at it. He's the best in the world.
Yeah, he's a special guy.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about, I honestly just had it in my head, but it fucking slipped. I wanted to know because the drafts just happened and everything. Did you talk to any scouts? Did anyone call you about any certain players? I know you don't have to give any certain names, but did any conversations come up with you pre-draft that you had to...
Pre-draft, I didn't hear from anybody. I've heard from one team.
In the Q?
In the NHL.
In the NHL.
I've heard from one team in the NHL in the last 10 days. Okay. That was my first call from an NHL guy.
There you go.
But
can you say what team?
Nashville.
There you go. Okay.
But I talked to all the Q staffs and stuff like that leading up to the draft. I know the NHL guys do their homework. I mean, Steve Kroll and Timmy Boyce, like when guys are Shane Bowers and these guys are entering the draft, and Pete Deliberatory just got drafted this year, like they're calling their midget coaches for sure.
Me and Tim had this conversation like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that a lot of guys were called about Jared McIsaac around here. I was happy. I was disappointed. I really thought he was going to be a first rounder, and I know he was disappointed too. But he's the kind of guy that's going to use that as motivation to prove the haters wrong. I think Detroit got a steal with Zadina at 6 and a steal with McIsaac at 35. Like, come on, are you kidding me?
It's an honor to be drafted to those teams. I don't care if you go in the 7th round. It's an honor to be drafted by Detroit.
And you know what? Like I've followed this draft class pretty closely because ever since Jared was 14 and I was coaching him, like I've been keeping tabs on who the guys are. Like, it was the Ryan Merkleys and these guys that were up there at that time. And obviously it changes in 3 or 4 years, but not too drastically. But the overall draft was crazy deep, like crazy deep.
Yeah.
And especially on the back end, like the blue line depth wise, I don't know, there's probably, let's say there's 50 defensemen drafted in the first 5 rounds, probably at least 30 of them will be full-time NHLers at some point, I think.
Really?
That's based on, I obviously haven't seen them all play live and things, but just reading articles, reading different scouting reports, I'm fortunate enough to have access to, non-public scouting reports and things like that. That's my take on the draft, was how deep it was. Like a guy like Pete Deliberatory.
Who is that?
So he's from Bedford.
Okay. So sorry, Pete, if you're listening, if I don't know.
He's a great kid. He is one of the guys that, I don't know if we talked about it last time, but why we started teams at Newbridge.
Okay.
Because Pete was a Newbridge student from grade 5, I believe, until grade 10. And then he went to play prep school in the States with 2 other guys the same age, and that was when we were like, well, like,
what's going on?
Like, let's figure this out. Like, let's keep these guys here.
Yeah.
So, I've known Pete for a long time. I taught him. Great kid. He played 1 year for the Subarus.
Okay.
His 15-year-old year. I think he was like 4th or 5th round in the Mooseheads. But because he was playing NCAA, he's been committed to Quinnipiac for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Played at Salisbury. So, yeah, he got drafted right out of prep this year. Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Vegas in the 6th round, yeah.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, actually, I just saw a video. Johnny Moore was on him today, so it's out there somewhere on Sports and More. But, I know how good Pete is. Pete's stepping in. He's going to play at Quinnipiac next year as a true freshman.
Really?
Which is a pretty big feat. Just completely bypassing junior hockey and going straight into the college game. And Quinny is a pretty big school with their pretty hockey hotbed in terms of their hockey program. Like, I actually got to see a game there this past year. It was them play UMaine. It was pretty hype, and super happy for Pete. And again, I think he's got the skills and the ability and the attitude and the work ethic to make a career in the NHL. And he's a 6th-round pick defenseman.
Do you think that the style of a defenseman in the NHL is changing from a big man to a little quick man? Because if you look 100%. At the NHL, You know, it's shorter guys, quicker guys that are just flying by defensemen. You don't see any Chris Prongers in the NHL anymore.
Yeah.
Do you who's Tyson Barrie? I think that's a good example from Colorado. He's a little bit smaller. Krug as well from Boston. Yeah. Do you think that's the style that NHL scouts are looking for now?
It's got to be like it's almost like, you know how I describe it, and is the positions are positions when you line up.
Yeah.
For a face-off or whatever, but it's so much more of like a basketball style 5-man kind of rotation almost these days, where like usually you've got at least one defenseman on each of your top 2 pairings in the NHL that are fourth forwards, right? That are always jumping up, always pushing the play, always playing offensively, but are good enough skaters, are smart enough to get back. Like Ryan Ellis is a prime example. Like I could watch Ryan Ellis play all day, every day.
So smart.
Like all day, every day. Right.
Those NHL playoffs 2 years ago, he was incredible on the back end.
Exactly.
I didn't, because he's on the West Coast, I don't really watch Nashville, but I remember the playoffs 2 years ago. He was incredible. And
like the whatever we want to call the era, the dead puck era or whatever, when it was all, you know, Hal Gills and 6'5" plus, 240 pound plus, and Pronger's a little different because he could play too. He was, but that's over and done with, because you got to be able to think the game to play at that level. If you can't think the game, then you can't play, especially on the back end. Because that first pass is so important. It's incredible,
and how quick that centerman's swinging through the zone to pick up the puck, and so quick.
And like you got to be able to pass, and you got to be able to skate. Obviously, you've always needed to be able to skate, but I think size is becoming more and more irrelevant as the game becomes less and less physical. Not that it's not physical, because it definitely is a physical game.
Well, no one can hit anyone because everyone's too quick.
Right. Tough. But I think that's going to be the norm. I think there was, honestly, I don't know the exact numbers, but 15, maybe half the players selected in the first round were defensemen, and I think 7 or 8 of them were under 6 feet. So, it's
interesting. I like how you look at that, because I wouldn't have looked at that, but that's your mentality is looking at that.
Exactly. Yeah. Puck moving defense, and I think people are starting to realize that, my kid's going to be a defenseman, because people are always looking for a defenseman. You can get guys that score 40, 50 goals in major junior and can't translate that skill to the NHL.
Yeah.
But if you can make an outlet, if you can retrieve a puck with pressure, make a move and outlet that puck 10 times out of 10, you're going on the ice, and you can find a spot in the NHL and not get a point the entire year. But if you're playing even and you're moving the puck, and you're not hurting your team,
I'll go on Hockey DB sometimes and look at defensemen.
Elite prospects, man. The Hockey DB is way out of whack.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Elite prospects is where it's at.
I'll switch it up then. Yeah. But I have been on DB, and I've been looking at defensemen that are playing in the NHL. 82 games, 4 points.
Yep.
But they're plus 14.
Yep.
They're not turning the puck over. I feel like that's a huge contribution to a team. You're just not turning the puck over. Any position, it can be forward as well, but I feel with defensemen on the back end, you can't be a liability.
And that's and it's crazy to think, so for example, this is a crazy stat. Don't ask me why I know this, but I think it was 2 years ago, Nashville drafted, it was whenever they drafted Sam Girard. So yeah, it would have been Greener's draft year, so 2016.
Okay.
They drafted all D. Didn't draft a forward, didn't draft a goalie. And are all of those D going to play on their team? No. But guess what they do? They package them for forwards and traits, and that's it, because guys are always
that's smart.
It's super smart. Right? Super smart.
That's thinking ahead of the curve.
Right. And the new GM in Minnesota, who was the assistant GM in Nashville, this was his first draft, and he kind of took the same route. So if you look at who Minnesota drafted, it's mostly D, right? And that's it. You build from the back end out 100%, in my opinion. Yeah. 100%. Goaltending is obviously key, but goaltending at the draft level is a crapshoot. Honestly, really? It really is. I think. I mean, it is a major junior, because goalies develop so much differently than players.
And later,
right? And later, some guys peak earlier, right? Some guys peak earlier, and some guys just get in bad situations, right? You look at Evan Fitzpatrick. he's a second round pick to the St. Louis Blues, and everybody's like, well, what the hell? Like, this guy's number, like, and they just look, never seen him play, look on Elite Prospects and see, 889 save percentage, 3.4 GA, whatever it is. But in his 3+ years he spent in Sherbrooke, their defense were never very good. Right, and their top defensemen that they had were always offensive defensemen. So they never really, just the way they played, like the run and gun style. He might have a low save percentage, but the quality scoring chances are way up compared to other guys. Right, so he might only be getting 25 shots a game, but 20 of them are dangerous shots. Right, and that's what NHL scouts and NHL GMs are looking at, right? Like
they're not an average fan.
They don't give a shit what Elite Prospects says. They want to know the in-depth stats, and that's where the analytics come in. And I think I'm a fan of analytics for sure. I use them. I enjoy them to an extent. Like, I think you still need to go with your gut sometimes, and like you can't assess somebody's hockey IQ on analytics. In my opinion, you can't assess their skating ability on analytics, but you can do pretty well with assessing them more for once they're on your team and like the situations they've succeeded in, the situations they haven't succeeded in. But yeah, back to Fitzy, like he gets dealt at the trade deadline to Bathurst and plays in front of a good team for the first time in his junior career and was an absolute brick wall down the stretch and through the playoffs and right to the Mem Cup. Right. So like now everybody's like, oh, St. Louis, great pick in the second round, like Mem Cup winning goaltender. But 6 months ago it was like, wow, that was kind of a waste of a pick. Right. And I felt so happy for that guy because he's a great kid. He works his ass off, and
he's training here locally. He's at this Pro Edge Sports there.
All the boys are there.
We had the head trainer on here too, Pat. He's a great guy.
I know Pat.
He's we had a great conversation about the guys that he's training there. He said they're all hungry, man. They'd be in there 7 days a week training if they could. He said that one of the toughest parts of his job is having to hold them back and not have to overwork themselves, because these players, they're like horses. They'll just go.
They just want to keep going.
He said his job is to honestly just kind of say, like, listen, boys, you got to calm down here for a bit. Just relax and train smartly and not lift heavy. And anyways, the conversation was fantastic. If those of you who are listening that haven't listened to that podcast, go listen to it now because it's great. I noticed you were talking about goalies. We're having Fucali on here soon.
Oh, nice.
And that's a conversation I'd like to have with him, was, what did scouts say to him when he was playing for the Mooseheads? Because I know he had great stats when he played for the Mooseheads. Jesus Christ, probably one of the best in junior history, but it'll be interesting to see what he says regarding to that.
That would have been tough teams to play on, though. Not tough teams. Obviously, it would have been easy, fun, but tough is like he probably went periods with 1 or 2 shots at points, right? And then, but like that was like, I was living in Halifax at the time. I went to quite a few Moosehead games at that time, and for me, like, he always just made the right save at the right time. Like, they'd win games 5-4, and it wouldn't be like he had 0 chance at those 4 goals, but made 3 unbelievable saves in the last minute to keep it 5-4 or whatever. Right? So I'm a little like, and again, like, he's only 24, 25.
I don't
know.
Everybody, I would say 25.
Right? No. So, he'd be in 90, same age as McKinnon, so 95,
24,
23,
24.
So, like, his career is far from over.
We'll just on Vegas.
Like, exactly. So, and that's the thing. Like, goaltenders are so difficult to judge and draft, right? Like, that's at all levels. In my opinion.
I wanted to talk to you about Hockey Canada. Obviously, Hockey Canada has an amazing resume when it comes to international play, and I've heard that they're very hands-on with the not academies, just organizations across Canada when it comes to like practices, maybe like training drills, off-ice training, and things like that. I just wanted to know if they have their hands, maybe not their hands, but their ideas in Newbridge Academy. If they're reaching out to you guys saying, "So, what are you guys teaching? These players right now?" Is that a thing?
Yep. No, definitely. So that's part of our accreditation process as a Hockey Canada sports school.
Okay.
Just obviously, Hockey Canada doesn't want to have their name on an institution or a school that isn't doing the right things. So once a year, actually it happened probably about a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe right after we spoke the first time. His name's Pierre Alexandre what's his name? Poulin.
Oh, so, that's the most Canadian name there is.
It's Mary-Philip Poulin.
Like
women, Sidney Crosby. It's her brother.
Oh, there you go.
So he's got a little bit of a connection down here too. He played for UDEM.
Okay.
So yeah, he flew out to the school and came and saw the place and spoke to Olivier, spoke to me, spoke to a couple, spoke to everybody kind of, and I was in the room with him and he's like just asking me questions like, hey, what are your philosophies on this? What do you do for practice if this is the situation? If you have you only have 7 skaters out because there's exams or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, we just kind of talked about how I do things and he asked me and I gave him I call it my Bible. Like I have a technical tactical package that I give the players every year and with everything you need to know in it.
Yeah.
So I gave him a copy of that and said this is my plan. This is what I run
on a
year-to-year basis. I mean, he wasn't like, oh man, that's awesome. He was like, this is good. Like this is exactly what we want our coaches at different schools to be doing.
Okay.
Right. And honestly, I got hooked on that when I did my High Performance 1, my HP1, Hockey Canada HP1 course, 3 summers ago at St. FX.
Oh yeah.
They just had another one just 2 weeks ago at SMU.
Okay.
They only do it every 3 years.
Okay.
So you need to be either finishing it, currently doing it, to be a head coach, major midget or higher.
Is there a lot of people in these classes?
Oh yeah,
they're packed.
When I was there, well, it's just like it's a week. It was a week long when I went. So I think there was 70 of us, and there was people from literally all over Canada. Like most of them were local, but
all over Canada.
Right.
Okay.
People were coming from all over Canada to do this, and it was literally a week. It was a grind. It was an absolute grind. It was a week. We started at 8, and it was just different lectures from different people, and then we'd break off into groups, do some group work, come back, more lectures. Had university coaches, pro coaches, skill developers, goalie coaches, Chris Donnelly would come in and present power play. And then Troy Ryan would present penalty, whatever it was. So all these different guys, and then, but all the connections you make and the people you talk to, and picking the brains of other people. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a lifelong learner and enjoy hearing what other people have had success with, what people haven't had success with.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and you meet a lot of people. But that was kind of what. And then at the end, you have to do a huge report. Basically, it's it's an exam, but it's a take home. You get 8 months or 10 months or something to do it. But yeah, it's power play, penalty kill, team builders, technology, integrate technology, off ice. It's huge, right? I think it's they say it's a 40% pass rate. People don't
really pass,
or people don't finish it.
Did you pass?
Yeah.
Atta boy.
Yeah. I did all right. But yeah, that was kind of when I was the moment of clarity, when I was like, shit, I can't just practice plans are great. I always did practice plans, but I'd do it, throw it out, or forget about it, right? I wouldn't stockpile them and track them. And
you like to keep it fresh, you do new drills in a practice?
Yes and no. But I mean, when I did my practice plans before I did my HP1, I would just forget about that practice plan. Now, if I do a practice on January 15th, 2017, I could go back, find out what I was doing January 2017 versus where I'm at January 2018.
Sorry.
So now I'm logging everything, right?
I was confused there for a second.
Yeah,
okay, I get you.
Yeah, so that was kind of and that was Hockey Canada where we started this conversation. Was I was like, man, this is legit. This is I'm eating this shit up.
Definitely.
I love this.
When you're coaching mid-year and you see maybe a neutral zone breakdown on your team, you guys can't get the puck in deep. Maybe you can't get the puck past the blue line, things like this. Do you take note of that and then go find new drills online to practice during your practice hours, or how does it work? Do you just draw it up on the board mid-game and make adjustments? How do you make adjustments mid-season? Because I know when I've played on a lot of teams where practices were the same throughout the year, really not much change, because I played on better teams and you don't really need to have a practice to show someone how to get a puck past the blue line, right? But maybe at your level a bit younger, I don't know, do you well,
mine's midget, right?
I guess that's midget, okay.
It's midget AAA. All my guys are,
so they're all capable of most of making adjustments,
right? Most of them are top end guys and are drafted and have plans on making a run at this hockey thing, so they take it very seriously. So that helps me. Like, you know, they come in day one, I give them the technical tactical package, and they need to know, like, they got to read it, and they like, because I don't want to waste skill development time on the ice.
Well, that's what I'm trying to ask.
Right? Like I definitely, there's a balance, and that's one of the, you know, luxuries that I have in my position, is that I have enough ice time to go around, like, in a week compared to a midget team. Or
how many times do you guys practice a week?
Depends on our schedule. Like 3 to 4. It's middle of the day, you know, hour 45 minutes. And like, we'll do D forward splits. We'll do, you know, different stuff. But most of my teaching in terms of systems is done in the classroom on the with the book, with the video, and like, we'll run a few drills to warm it up or whatever. But and yeah, we definitely make adjustments throughout the year, and you know, sometimes it's mid tournaments, right? It's video sessions in the hotel rooms, and you know, again, I'm lucky enough to be able to videotape the games and break down and get the video done and cut pretty quickly.
It's crazy how much video helps, man.
It's nuts. Like nobody believes you that they did something wrong until you show them.
I remember, I think we might have talked about it last podcast, maybe not, but like, if I was a young player coming up, Pee Wee, Bantam, I would always make sure that my dad or my mom would be with the iPhone filming me. Because like, back then you'd have to get the tripod, the big camera. I don't want my mom or dad doing that, but like, in today's day and age, if I was a young kid, if you're listening to this now and you had your parents, man, get them to film, and then you learn from, because, you know, back when I was younger, I'd go in the car, my dad would be like, you know, what did you do on this play? And I was like, I don't remember that play. What are you talking about? But if you're filming the game just with your iPhone, oh man, the difference it would have made to like just make adjustments to the mistakes that I've made throughout my whole career.
Exactly. And I'm like, everybody's that way. Like, you're not thinking that you did that. Like, for some reason in your head, you think you did something else. Right. Like, and I'm like, you should have went, like, you know, you're playing for me and you come off, I'm like, Belly, you know, you should have went left on this guy because his stick was on the other side. You're like, no, he wasn't. Like, his stick was on that side. That's why I went. And then you show him the video and he's like, oh shit. Okay. That makes sense. Right. So, but yeah, in terms of drills and stuff, like, I find some drills for repetition are good. You know, we do a lot of the same passing sequence stuff, one touch, different stuff like that. We do one, like, there's probably about 4 or 5 drills that are pretty consistent.
It's always good to have consistency.
And especially like if we're on a short week and we're, you know, we get back on a Monday and Sunday night and we're leaving again on Wednesday, you know, you don't want to really waste time at practice showing new drills and figuring it out.
It's time consuming.
But you know, that's one of what I consider one of my biggest strengths as a coach, is my ability to figure out and create different drills and like mini drills and skill drills and things like that tap into, that aren't these big huge flow things with 84 different steps that are simple yet effective. And what I do a lot is, and you know, we have a Dropbox, like a big Dropbox, like with our staff, like our hockey staff. So, you know, I'll check out what Olivier posted to the Dropbox or what Cody dropped in it, and you know, we all have different connections over the hockey world, and you know, like, different coaches send different guys within Newbridge, you know, here's what we did this practice, and we'll just take it from their practice. Or I creep YouTube a lot to try to find like the super fans going to watch NHL practices.
Those are great. I've seen a couple of those.
So I do that a lot. I go on and you know, Detroit Red Wings are great for that, especially like the Babcock era. So yeah, I try to get my hands on as much of the YouTube NHL practices as I can. And
the Maple Leafs have good ones, like recently, like on Matthews and Marner's, like one-timer drills. Really good stuff.
And like, you know, we've been fortunate enough to watch a lot of college practices, you know, and I just take my phone out and videotape the whole thing. Right. And
it's amazing having these things.
We were playing in the Providence. Sorry, we were getting a tour of Providence College last year.
How was that place?
It was amazing. Because Savoie, the kid that played for us, was committed there, right?
Okay. So already? So he was going there?
Yeah, he was already going there.
Oh, that's sick.
So we stopped in, and the Providence Bruins were practicing. And so we got to watch that practice. So again, but it's a game day skate. So like, what are guys doing on a game day skate? Like things like that. So, but yeah, Savoie was committed to Providence, but that's
so sick.
Yeah, not anymore.
Oh,
he
no.
The news. I think I'm okay saying it because the news broke yesterday. He signed with the Ramparts.
Oh,
he got drafted by the Ramparts and he's going to play there.
Two great organizations.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly. So it was, and again, you see it and you hear it, and all these people, like the haters are like, why are kids using NCAA to leverage their major junior teams, or why are they leveraging major junior teams to up their college deals? And I'm like, man, think about it. Like, these kids have talent. These kids have goals, they have dreams, and they just want the best route for them to get to their end goal. Like, they're not going out there to say, screw this team or that team. Like,
it's a business.
And it's an absolute business, and sports is an absolute business. And I know I'm getting off kilter here a little bit, but you look at the Raptors deal yesterday, and that is the definition of a sports business transaction. Like, the absolute definition. Like,
as much as the owners think, the owners and the GMs, they are part of the business, but the players, they can make just as much impact as well. Like you just said with going to the Ramparts, it's a two-way thing.
Yeah. So
if owners are going to look out for themselves, the players are going to look out for themselves as well.
Exactly.
That's when people get mad at LeBron for doing all this. He's a business guy too. You got to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a jungle.
Yeah. And like, everybody's up in arms and like, I'd be mad and sour if I was DeMar DeRozan too.
Yeah, I would be too.
But at the same time, like, if you're telling me I have a chance to add a top 3, top 5 player in the entire world at this sport, like, I'm going to take it.
Of course.
No matter who I have to move the other way.
Yeah.
Like, a 27-year-old MVP, Finals MVP.
Is that how old he is? 27.
He's only 27.
Wow,
yeah.
he looks like a man.
Right. He's only 27. So, even if it is for a year and then he goes to LA, like, whatever. Yeah. Like, you're gonna have a great year having Kawhi Leonard. Like, you just added the best player in the conference. So
hopefully it'll be Boston, Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals next year. Now with LeBron gone.
Yeah, Philly's up there too.
Philly too. Oh, I can't wait for basketball. You like basketball?
Yeah. You know what? Probably for about 4 or 5 years now since I started. Like, I watch pretty much every Raps game. And that's the weird part. Everybody, like, I watched no NHL until
interesting.
Like, I watch a lot of highlights and clips,
but you don't watch the game.
I don't watch the games until playoffs. I watch because I'm like, normally I'm watching my own video at home or watching. Like, I watch a lot of college hockey. I watch a lot of different junior leagues on fast hockey.
Yeah.
So because for me, things are more applicable at my level from those leagues than the NHL.
Okay.
Right. Like, I can see what teams in the BCHL are playing for different systems, or how players are approaching things, face-offs, that kind of thing. So a lot of my nights are spent watching hockey underneath the NHL.
Cool. That's smart on your part.
You got to do what you got to do, and like, I'm sure. And like, if I was a college coach, that's when I'd be watching the NHL, and like, for different reasons than other people are watching the NHL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I never watch it. Like, having a couple beers with my buddies at their place, like, for sure. But I'm much more interested in watching the Raps games, the Jays, like,
when they're doing well.
I still watch them.
Do you?
Like, I'm a huge baseball fan too, but World Cup was pretty cool, and I'm not a soccer guy, but I was hooked onto a couple games this year. It's a cool sport. You got to be really invested in the game. You can't be flipping back and forth, but if you watch it, it's a fun game. Yeah, it was cool. I've shit on soccer before, but I take it back. It was pretty fun to watch. I just find that there's a lot of translatable skills and translatable systems and ways to play between sports, and I'm like, I enjoy watching basketball, and because for sure, when I first started watching basketball, I had no idea, and I have no idea, but like, the difference between zone and man on man, like, that's very applicable to hockey, like all the different switches in the zone, and like hitting guys, like, catch and shoots like a one-timer versus catching it, waiting, faking whatever it is, right? And I'm excited to have some conversations with E-Rob about all this stuff and see how the real intricacies of basketball work. Because
man, he's a great guy. When he came on the podcast, he was talking basketball, but he was talking basketball in an X's and O's form that I did not understand. So I said,
okay, rolls
exactly. So the next time he comes back, I want to have like another basketball guy here with me so he can kind of explain things a little bit better. But man, what a great podcast. The feedback I got from that podcast, like after people messaging me saying one of the best podcasts you've ever done, it was just,
he's a great guy.
Holy smokes.
He's a great guy. And he's a huge addition for us at Newbridge for sure.
He's well liked over there.
Oh yeah. You know, the first day he walked in, I was like, who is that guy? Like, had no idea who he was, and you know, met him and then YouTubed him just like everybody else.
Yeah, essentially.
And he's been around. He's been in and out. I know he's been traveling a lot, doing different camps and recruiting kids. I think he was in California, then up the coast. I think he was in Toronto, and he just had his first camp at Newbridge, tryout camp, yesterday.
How old are the kids trying out? Like, what age group is it? Do you know?
You know, some of them were too young to be playing, just kind of came for the experience and like get their name out there for future years. I think the youngest yesterday was grade 7 or 8.
Okay.
Most of them were high school, 10, 11, 12.
Okay.
I think there was about 40 kids yesterday. So, I put them through the paces, had a fitness testing and then some on-court stuff, and they all got a tour of the school and a Q&A. That must have been cool
for them, the tour of the school.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, he was excited talking about the tryouts. Like at the end, I was like, if you want to say anything, go ahead. And he was just talking about the tryouts and come on out. So I'm happy it went well.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about back to hockey for a second and the kids coming into Newbridge to play. Is there out of town kids coming to play at Newbridge?
Yeah, that's basically all we have.
So you must have to deal with like parents and stuff. Like, where are they staying?
So we are building a residence.
Oh, is it? Okay,
so
I didn't know that.
Eventually there will be residencies. But as of right now, we bill it. Okay. So it's much like junior, except most of Cody's our billet coordinator.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So
he's dealing with a lot of parents.
So the first thing is, like I think on my team last year I only had one local guy.
Because I'm looking at your Twitter and it's like, we'd like to welcome so-and-so to the Newbridge, all the way from Ontario, all the way from... Yeah. So I'm like, man, like these guys are recruiting.
Yeah. So, you know, the first question we ask is, and a lot of people, not a lot of people, but enough people have family and friends in the area. Well, right. So like I have a sister. I'm originally from Dartmouth. My mom lives there. Like, you know, I have 2 kids that live with their grandparents and things like that.
Okay.
And then the next step is, you know, other players on the team. So when we do have local guys, they usually have a guy or 2 living with them.
Okay.
And then after that, we have a lot of parents with kids in the younger grades, like, you know, grades 3, 4, and 5 that are hockey players, that are Newbridge families that want, you know, the older influence, the big brother mentality with billets. So 95% of our billets, I would say, I don't know the exact number, but all the ones that I've dealt with are Newbridge families.
That's sick.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, and I think we're going to keep it as an option once the residencies are done.
Yeah, why not?
And because some kids like it better, right? But you know, on the other hand too, like we have lost out on a few recruits because we're not a resident.
Oh, the kids wanted to stay in a residence?
Not even the kids. It's more the parents. The parents are a little hesitant to send their kids to a random family, even though, you know, obviously we do all the background checks, the criminal record checks, the host visits. Like before, even if the family's been at the school for 5 years and we know them and we know the kid, like Cody and Amanda are director of admissions, they'll go do a host visit. You know, we have, just like you would in junior, you have not contracts, but rules. Like you are responsible for 3 square meals a day. You're responsible for getting them to and from school. You're responsible for giving them a private room with Wi-Fi. And then the kids get one too. You are responsible to complete the chores that you are asked. You are responsible to, you know, spend an hour a day hanging out with the little kid, whatever it is. But yeah, honestly, it's worked pretty well for us. And yeah, like I think I legitimately had 2 local players last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says something about the academy.
Yeah.
That people from around the country are coming here.
Yeah. Well, around the world. Yeah. I've had Danish. Yeah. My best player last year is Danish. He's unreal. You'll see him in the World Juniors here next year probably. But
Jesus.
Danish, Latvia, Czech Republic, Slovak, Serbia, Sweden. So Americans.
Any language barrier, or do they speak English pretty well?
The Swedes and the they all know English. They all learn English. Like Alberto, my Danish player, growing up in school, he learned Danish as a class, obviously, but then he also had English, German, and then you had to take so that was 3 you had to take, and then you had to take one other one.
Yeah.
And it was like Finnish, Swedish, Russian, like whatever. So he speaks like 5 or 6 languages. Now we've had kids from Japan as well play. The Latvians were a little harder, the Russian bloc kind of little more difficult with the language barrier, but the Scandinavians are pretty seamless.
What comes to mind when you say that these players are coming here from all over the world is that's great for the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, the maritime teams, because there's that what do they call it, the European draft?
The Euro draft, yeah.
And when these kids are going to a Moosehead game and they're seeing 10,000 people filled into the Metro Center, Scotiabank Center, Metro Center, that's awesome. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's such good exposure, especially this year with the Mem Cup, you're telling me the scouts that are coming here to watch the Mooseheads aren't going to stop by Newbridge Academy whenever you guys play to watch?
And we practice right before the Mooseheads every day.
There you go.
Right? So I'm talking to, actually I'm in negotiations or in recruiting mode with 2 kids from Slovenia.
Okay.
Where Andrzej Kopitar is from. Not a huge hockey hotbed, but
there's a couple.
They play in the first division of the World Championships, and so these kids are basically at the point now where they played in the U20 leagues last year as 16-year-olds. Yeah. Right. So now they want to get out there and get seen by major junior teams and stuff like that. So, I'm talking to them. I'm like, listen, and everybody and all the European hockey players know the Mooseheads.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
I guess so. Some of the best.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
You have to, right? They don't know everybody. They don't know well, we always shit on Baie-Comeau, but they don't know the Baie-Comeau Drakkar.
Yeah.
But the Mooseheads, they all know it.
Well, they definitely know them.
And we're the closest east. We're the closest to them.
To Europe.
Europe, right? So, the flights home. I
never even thought about that.
The flights home, mom and dad coming over, things like that's a lot easier than them going to Toronto or Calgary.
And WestJet's doing these direct flights now.
Exactly.
You don't have to go to Toronto first, then Halifax.
Exactly. So, I'm like, yo, man, you get to play, or you get to practice every day in the same rink as the Mooseheads. You get to see the Mooseheads walking around. They're
probably
coaches.
Get to talk to Cam Russell.
Yeah, right. Cam, I know for a fact, Ali and Cam and those guys watched a few of our practices this year, right?
Of course.
So that's a big selling point, advantage for me for the Euros.
Brand new rink too. You guys are practicing
brand
at
new
fourplex, no shortage of ice time.
Yeah.
Some of the best talent in the world. The Mooseheads practice right next door.
And we just hired JP McCollum as our full-time strength conditioning coach.
JP's with you guys now. Yeah. Are you talking to? I got to get his number. I'd love to have him on too. Yeah. So he's with you guys full-time now?
Yeah. I think his title is Director of Athletic Performance.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get his number after and get him on here. Is he still training Brad and those guys?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's a busy guy, JP.
So, he spent the last 2 years in Denmark.
Yeah, he was coaching, right?
Yeah,
or was he training?
Coaching. Yeah. He's back home, and he's starting up with us full-time September.
Man, you guys are recruiting, not even players, but just
that's the thing, right? Now I'm like, hey, man, plus you get to work with one of the top strength conditioning coaches in the world on a daily basis. Right? You get the on-ice stuff, but you also get the off-ice stuff. And we just hired Ryan Hillier, too. I don't know if you knew that.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's he doing there?
Yeah. So he's coaching the U18 team.
Man.
Yeah.
Talk about a powerhouse.
And he's going to do some strength conditioning and stuff, too, because he works with JP as well right now. So, JP trains, Brad and those guys, and Hilsey works more with, actually, Pete Deliberatory, the guy we were talking about just dropped from Vegas. He trains with Hilsey.
Okay.
And our hockey staff, our athletic staff in general is just blown up like crazy.
And it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning,
just the
man.
start.
And like Kirk Tomlinson's with us now too.
Kirk's with you guys.
Yeah. So Kirk's running our women's program.
Dude, tell Kirk I said what up. We talk about him all the time here. No, not really, but that's awesome.
So Kirk runs Kirk and Kiefer Host run the female program.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got a pretty good staff put in place.
It makes everything you just said there is awesome. But one thing that you said that makes me happy is that all these Europeans coming over know of the Mooseheads. I think that's great, and especially this year with the Mem Cup. And
it's gonna be nuts.
That's music to my ears.
It's gonna be nuts. And how about
just for the city?
Yeah,
just
you know what? I might break down and buy a 15 game package just so I can get first dibs at the Mem Cup stuff.
Do they have those 50? That's a thing?
I think so. My buddy was talking about it the other day. I'm pretty sure it is.
Me and dudes are thinking of buying like season tickets so we can have like contests through the high button, just give away 2 tickets for something like that, and then also for the Mem Cup as well.
Yeah, like I definitely remember going to the Mem Cup the last time I was here, but I was a little too young to truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
10, 11 years old. But actually, funny I'm saying that because Brandon Benedict, who also works with us now, he played in the Mem Cup the last time I was here, right?
I knew Benedict was here. Yeah, I knew that.
You should get him on here. He'd be a good guy to get on.
I'd love to.
Man, he's salt of the earth, man.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable since he came in. Like, huge, right? So
sounds like a great work environment you guys have over there. It seems like a lot of like-minded people just working towards one goal, I guess.
Yeah, and everybody's in it for the right reasons, right? Like we're not here to at the end of the day, the kids are still the number one priority.
Of course.
And moving kids on to the next level academically and athletically is the goal and what drives me every day. And Benny could have signed he had a contract offer on the table to keep playing another 2 years.
Did he?
Right? Yeah.
And he decided to go to Newbridge.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That says something.
So, it's only the beginning, man.
Yeah.
It's only the beginning.
What do you think is the most rewarding part about your job? Because obviously there's a lot of rewards, but if you had to pick one, what do you think is the most rewarding part?
Man, honestly, the most rewarded I've ever felt as a coach, as a mentor, I guess, was so one of my assistant captains this year, his name's William No.
William, okay.
William No. He's French. He's from Quebec.
Okay.
He came to us 2 years ago, played midget double A in Quebec.
Okay.
Everybody was, all his buddies at home were like, oh yeah, like you're only going because Olivier, blah, blah, blah. And he came and he is the most genuine human being I think I've ever met, right? Like just instantly made an impact, 95 average student, just worked his butt off for 2 straight years, ended up being one of my top defensemen, signed with Pembroke in the CC, the legendary junior A team. I think he'll continue on and hopefully get to the NCAA, but he was elected class valedictorian.
That's cool.
So a guy that could barely speak English 2 years ago gets up there and delivered the most heartfelt speech in the entire world.
How old is he?
18.
Wow.
So he just graduated, in front of everybody, his fellow graduates, the rest of the students, the parents, coaches, staff, everything, and he got up there and just absolutely killed it.
William Knoll, his name is. Okay, I'll look
and you can watch the speech on our Newbridge Facebook page.
Oh, can you? Okay.
But it's incredible. And that when I was he was Newbridge became a home.
You took him under your wing.
Not just me. I only coached him for a year. He played for Olivier for a year, and all the teachers, but just everything. It wasn't just the hockey. It was the entire community, the entire school, and it changed his life, right? Sick. And I was man, the fact that you can get up there and do that and nail that speech. I'm super proud of you for signing with Pembroke, but for me, that's the most rewarding when kids get it and kids are ready to move on in life, are ready to take that next step from adolescence to young adulthood.
Yeah.
And be prepared for it. And you played a small part in helping them prepare for that.
Yeah, that sounds rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you got to love when guys reach their goals, and whether that's getting drafted or whether that's scoring 15 points or whether that's whatever their goal is, and I got a lot of. Have you ever heard of John Wooden?
No.
He's a legendary basketball coach. He coached, I think he won 12 NCAA championships with UCLA.
Okay.
Like, just a machine.
Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of books, and I'm reading one of his books for, I think it's my third or fourth time reading it.
Wow.
So all this stuff's in my head about, he's the guy that said, you've probably seen the quote, like, failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
For that.
Yeah. And like, it's all about the process, not the destination. Like,
absolutely. About there is no destination.
Right. So process. Like, all this stuff is going through my head right now, and like, sometimes, yeah, for sure. Like, everybody's human. I get caught up in, how many guys got drafted, how many guys you coach that got drafted to the NHL, or how many guys you get drafted to the Q, or whatever it is, for sure. But honestly, the most rewarding thing is helping or seeing kids be ready for the next step in life and understanding different realistic goals and things, because, not everybody's going to the NHL.
Yeah.
But everybody has a chance to be successful in life.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I'm happy to hear you say that, man.
Yeah.
Well said. I think we're running up on an hour here. I think we had a good conversation. If you want to say anything, friends, family, players.
Yeah, I guess
announcements.
Yeah, well, quick shout out to the guys from Newbridge that were drafted this year. So like Alex David went 26 overall in the second round to Bathurst. Nico Savoie to the Ramparts. Brandon Casey to the Rimouski Oceanic. Ethan Pearson to Sherbrooke, and Kyle Lynch to Bathurst as well. Also wanted to give a shout out to the Dry. Read the article the other day, 16-0.
Oh, Dudes was talking about that.
Oh, yeah. I saw Dudes' name in the paper or whatever today. So, actually, I got to give a shout out to the Shuby Lions, our intermediate fast pitch team. We're undefeated on the season 2, 8-0. So, I know the boys are probably going to listen to this. So
there you go.
I'm actually going to run the idea by Dudes of maybe playing a home-and-home exhibition series to try to raise some money for Cam's fund and stuff. Yeah. And we'll play the Dry in a baseball game, and then they come play us in a fast pitch game. And
can the High Button come?
The High Button's all over it.
Love it.
You might have complete media rights to it. I don't know.
Beautiful.
But no, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, man. I love it. You've had some great guys on here, like, even outside the sports stuff, like the comedian Dave.
Yeah, he was great.
That was great.
He got a Netflix special last week.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Netflix special.
When's it going to be on?
What's that?
When's it going to be on?
I think next year. He's recording it this year, so I'm assuming. I think it'll be on next year, maybe. I could be wrong by saying that, but I'm pretty sure he's recording it very soon.
That's
Toronto.
Legit. That's
yeah,
legit,
man. He's on Jerry D as well.
That's unreal.
Anyways, blowing up.
Oh yeah. He's the teacher, right?
He's the economics teacher.
Yeah, he's the guy that always has hat on.
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And same with the other guy there, the entrepreneur.
Kirsch.
Yeah.
Max Alexander.
I'd like to meet that guy. I think we could have some good combos, me and him.
That guy's, I've only known him for maybe a month, but what the things he's taught me, the amount of knowledge he has.
Yeah, the stuff he was dropping and the wavelengths that he was thinking on, I was like, man, I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So if you're listening, man,
he listens to everyone.
Look me up.
We'll get you two in a room. We'll do a podcast together, and Dudes. We'll get all four of us.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to Dudes at Tide Fest the other day, and we were talking about maybe putting a panel together or something.
Oh, so you were at the Tide Fest?
At nighttime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there Friday, Saturday night. That was when it got good.
Oh, I missed it. Damn it.
Yeah, I had to come out for the night next year.
Next year I will.
It's crazy, man.
The video blew up. I think it's at like 4,000 views right now. People are loving it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Oh, yeah, we'll definitely be back next year. But yeah, let's get a panel going. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But we'll get you and Max in a room. I'll make sure to tell them that you're a fan of them. All right, so everyone that's listening, I appreciate the support. If you could go to all of our social media outlets, like, subscribe, comment. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, all that good stuff. Once again, I love each and every one of you. We are out.